Right, people, let's get right to it. Um, so today doing a blue moon tarot reading. The blue moon was actually yesterday, but by the time yesterday was over, I felt like wrung out sponge. So no, I'm just gonna do it today. Yesterday would have been my father's 90th birthday. So, I feel like I'm kind of starting to come out of that, the haze, whatever you might say, about dealing with the kind of complicated grief from my mother's passing. The T-shirt says I'm always kind of I have terrible posture. Don't be like me. It's novel 90. I will put a link to AutoCrit in the definition box. I can't talk today. Anyway, for the video, they're gonna be doing the summer novel 90 session, and they've got all sorts of other things. I've been a lifetime member of AutoCrit for, oh, I think it's going on 3 years now. Um, and the way I recommend doing it, if you can afford to, and I have not been asked by AutoCrit to do this. This is just off the cuff and speaking from my own experience. If you can afford to, the lifetime membership really is the best deal. Go in, do like the trial, give it a try, see if it works for you. Always do that. Because if it just really ain't your bag, why would you pay for it? But if it works for you, and if you're able to do it, the lifetime membership is going to save you tons of money over the long run. It really is. Um, I rather quickly went from buying the annual membership to being a lifetime member. I've never regretted it, but then in any case, if you get the membership, rather than buying the courses one by one, which if you want to take the courses, which is going to cost you a lot of money, um, do the Academy Pass instead. The price I have it at may be grandfathered, it may have gone up, but in any case, it's still a better deal because the price for each course averages $149. But now the Academy Pass at the price I have it is 75. It may have gone up to 140 for the 1 month, but they have like between 6 and 10 courses every month. So if you're buying each of those and say it was 10, that would be $1,400. So if you're paying $140 a month to get, to be able to attend unlimited courses, that's so much better. I did not intend for this video to just be an advertisement for AutoCrit. Again, it's something I use every day, have used for years, and this is totally off the cuff. They did not ask me to do this. In the interest of full disclosure, one of the links I'm going to provide, the link directly to AutoCrit, is an affiliate link, and I will earn a modest commission if anyone decides to become a member through that link. Anyway, let's get to the cards. I'm going to do a 3-card reading. This is the Aquarian Tarot. I honestly don't know if you can get these anymore. You probably can. I will have to look it up and see what I see. So let's shuffle them and get into it. Deck is probably around 40 years old. Had it before my son was born, and he's 36. So, we're delving into ancient history. So, whatever's going on, and this is just kind of a general reading, the general energies around me, but, what applies to one of us kind of applies to all of us. And, um, the past influences, High Priestess. I get the High Priestess card a lot, actually. And I also get the Empress, and I think it's, for me, it's telling me to come into being with the, you know, feminine energy, the feminine power, um, the power to bring, the spark into form. That's what the feminine does, is it brings things into form. According to the Kabbalah, the masculine is that spark, and the feminine takes that and brings it into form. So, and the high priestess also is discerning. She looks to, all the influences, kind of like what I'm doing right now. So, um, you know, looking, it's past influence. It's always been there. I always had the potential for it, but I wasn't executing it correctly. My trauma caused me to be, very influenced by limerence, as far as like romance, thinking, oh my God, if I can't have this particular guy, my world is at an end, or things like that, or the magical thinking, which I still struggle with magical thinking. Um, not gonna lie about that. That's, the whole, the spending addiction that I have is centered in magical thinking. If I get this thing, suddenly everything's going to be wonderful, says that part of my mind. And I am having to learn to take a step back and say, now, wait a minute. Still working on that. You feel like, well, now that I know this, but does it really work that way? Anyway, I need to embody this this feminine energy. If you're a dude seeing this, doesn't mean, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me. Um, there can be a feminine influence from your past that's causing you to react the way you are now. And that's also the case even with women. Like, I wrote something today, about, and addressed to my family. And as I said, I'm finally kind of starting to come out of this grief fog. Let me just bring this up, what I wrote, and I feel, pardon me, just take me a second to get to it, and I'm just going to read it. One of these days it'll be published in a poetry volume when I get around to publishing another poetry volume. But here, for the first time, what still wants to be said. What still wants to be said is, why couldn't you love me as I was? Dad, when I was struggling with relentless bullying in junior high, you told me I was inviting ridicule because I had weird mannerisms. On that day, my movement became constrained and wooden to avoid talking with my hands. It didn't help. Mom, you were considerate to outsiders, but you had no qualms about shaming me for the body I inherited from your side of the family with its myriad of endocrine imbalances. I never felt like I belonged in the world or even my family. When I'm gone away, will anyone weep for me? Willow branches hang. All right, so whatever you thought of that, that's what I wrote, and I've had to learn, you know, to shut up that part of my brain that's like, this is wasting your time with this hippy dippy crap, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. If I hadn't done it, I wouldn't have come to this point I'm at now. So you got one of those parts in you too, which a lot of us do. That asshole don't know anything. And, this is your sign from the universe to tell them to fuck off. Um, all right, so the present influences, what we're just coming into is the Two of Cups. And I look at this and I'm kind of confused because, all right, this is not a card of romance necessarily. It's also could also be friendship, but a strong bond. And then I think, well, wait a minute. I am trying to form that friendlier bond with my own family. It can apply to family too. I do not have a big family. I'm estranged from most of them. It's my son, his dad, with whom it is not a romantic relationship at this point and has not been for decades. It's a platonic friendship. We're family. As far as family members I've got, that's just what I'm naming off. My son, his dad, my brother. That's basically it. That's who I've got. I do have cousins and such, but there's not necessarily animosity between us. We're just not close, and most of them I would not recognize if I saw them on the street. It's been um, since my maternal grandmother's funeral in 1992 since I saw them. It's just not close connection. I, I've been ashamed of this all my life, but at this point, I'm just stating it factually. I don't make friends easily. I'm always really uncomfortable with putting myself out there. How much of it has to do with the neurological differences and how much it has to do with socialization and how much it just has to do with me being a big weirdo. I don't know, really. So I guess it's maybe a sign to not ignore the friendships I did have, none of which were with people that were in proximity to me, and just kind of try and keep those going, I guess. I have a very hard time connecting with people, so there's that. There's some kind of potential there. And the future influence, and this is why I don't do readings really for an entire year, because I do them twice a month. So this is always kind of a short term, more so than any kind of long term thing, but focusing more on rest and gathering the energies. It's the Four of Swords, so for me to keep working on myself, to keep moving forward at a slow but steady pace, and I have this complex about resting. It's like I feel guilty when I do it. So um, I hardly ever read just for the enjoyment of reading. Um, it's like, all right, if it's not a book review or something, I'm likely not gonna do it. I used to be big on reading and, doing crafts, and most of my crafts I don't ever finish. It's so frustrating. Anyway, um, that's where we are with that. Just kind of keep moving forward and don't be afraid to rest. I actually kind of felt awake for the first time in literal decades, like since I was a literal child. And that's because I have been getting more sleep. So this is the answer oracle, and it just put out a little clarification card for us for the whole reading. Not that that reading was unclear, just kind of to sum things up a bit and put the cap on it, or the icing on it if you're making a cake. I don't know if I beefed about this in my last video. Um, my parents' house, we had a person that we really wanted to sell it to, a mom with two kids, and she had put her townhome on the market to be able to, gather up the money for the down payment. And overnight, the value of her townhome tanked by $30,000. And that shit is happening all over the country. I'm not going to get into the politics, but believe me, there is rage at certain blighted spray tan monstrosities. Yeah. Anyway, so our answer oracle card, surprise. um, Another way beyond imagination. So, there's some influences maybe I'm gonna find that aren't clear to me yet. Mm, Surprising, good surprise, I think. Things coming for all of us. And you can always use these readings also for your characters if you like using tarot for writing. It applies to me, applies to you, applies to our characters. Just use it, use it how you need it. All right. I'm not, you will never find me being like, I am the guru of all the answers. That's not going to happen because I'm not. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, make it mercifully brief. Um, I've got a lot to work on, including actually a new story, which I am hoping to have done in time to submit for one of Dragon Soul Press's forthcoming anthologies. They've actually got two forthcoming anthologies, horror stories. Um, One set of stories submissions are due the end of this month, and then submissions are due for the next one at the end of July. DragonSoulPress.com, and then just look for their anthology calls. You'll see it, and if you want to give it a go submitting to them, I just submitted my horror drabbles to them yesterday. I've been published in their two previous horror drabble anthologies, and I'm hopeful that, some of my grabbles will see the light of day in the forthcoming one. So I'm a little more upbeat than you may usually see from me. I'm often kind of like, God, a little less snarky, maybe. I don't know. Kind of scares me. Well, anyway, like I said, we'll just put the lid on this, and for our blue moon reading, hope it helped you. Hope you're gonna have a good week. Peace.